Prof, even as we continue, as we move forward, party nominations coming up, April, big month, and Senator has hinted at your intentions or your declaration that
I saw it on the advert in Citizen TV.
So
yes, he has already put it.
Put it out there.
Yes.
As someone getting into a field like this, are you concerned about party nominations? We now have the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 as well in play. How could this affect how we now look at party nominations?
Before getting into that question, let me simply just weigh in on what Senator Omatangi said on development and on the models. And he singled out the Singaporean approach by Lee Kuan, the then Prime Minister, Prime Minister who grew an economy that was nothing in 1970 to what Singapore is today. Of course, before he passed on. The social welfare approach that seems to take root, I think, let me just comment this way, that in propounding the social welfare approach, the implementation of that approach would be a mixed implementation, targeting only poor setups, perhaps different from the way it is done in Europe or in the US. And I'm sure that it will be to enable those families that are unable to fend for themselves, grow to something, and in the process also perhaps establish some business enterprise. And as time goes on, you identify more vulnerable families and lift them up. It's a social welfare scheme. So it should not be seen as a handout. It is not a handout. It is simply living to the reality of our times that certain families are not able to fend for themselves. Let me go to the second point. And the second point is from what Senator Chiraghe said, that when we talk about the hustler economy, the hustler, or the bottom-up, as he says, it seems everybody's a hustler, including himself. You can't have, he has said those living out there are hustlers. So even those with money in their pockets and in their hands seem to be hustlers. You cannot have, everybody cannot be a hustler. There must be some who are able to remove others from the hustle. Mm-hmm. And that is why he says, when they talk about the 50 billion pesa mkononi, I'm sure they must be saying they're targeting the same source of fund under Article 218 of the Constitution. They're targeting Schedule 4 of the Constitution and bringing more money into the hands of the county governments. That means, Maura, that they support BBI in a sense, because BBI will lift the funding from 15 to 35% and then target the specific departments. Remember, it is only when you use the counties and target specific departments, those counties, for funding, that you can then grow enterprise and empower people, improve the agriculture department, which is devolved, to ensure that there's money in the pockets of people and that different sectors grow within the counties. So it should just come up and say that they support BBI. It should not say Rega stop, they should support Rega. on the merits of the BBI, before I respond to the political parties question, on the merits of the BBI, I don't think we are telling the Supreme Court to rule in any manner. We are simply putting forward arguments on what we expect or what we aspire to. So we are not commenting on the merits. We are not telling the court, rule this way. No. We are just commenting, weighing in on certain submissions that were made to court, like the lawyers did. We are both advocates here. I think that's what we are looking at. And we are also thinking, in a sense, that as legal practitioners, what is the best way? But we're not telling the court that it should rule in any manner.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but lastly, on the political parties question, under Section 30 of the Political Parties Act, as amended, political parties are required to submit lists to the register of political parties 3 months before the election. And so that by 9th, I believe that the list should be there. The primaries, or what you call the nominations, I can see UDA is already charging fees and the process has started. I've seen Mheshimiwa Maura speak to nomination fees. I expect this process, because of the political parties dispute tribunal process as enshrined under Section 29, to commence after the parties, after the registrar has that list, then that process would then go on, because you cannot proceed to undertake a nomination before the political party's registrar, who is the person who must oversee those nominations. Now that's the difference this year. The registrar will oversee the nominations, so that under the intended elections bill 2022, there will simply be a registration process by IBC. IBC wants to stand away from the nomination process and allow the registrar to undertake the entire process. It is expected, or the registrar expects, that the process will be transparent and that parties will not go into processes that will lead to unhappiness on the part of aspirants. The process as stipulated under the Act is supposed to be transparent, above board, and the parties must share with the registrar nomination dates, nomination processes, and nomination styles. Remember, parties can undertake direct nominations, they can use the ballot at nominations, and there are different modes that are provided, but they must share with the registrar these modes in advance of their process, so that parties that think that they can manipulate the process will not find it easy, because under the new amendments, the Chief Justice will appoint, there will be up to 18 members sitting at the political parties dispute tribunal, PPDT, 9 of whom will be advocates, to hear all disputes within a time frame that is set under the Act. So I expect some movement. There'll be a difference this year. We expect political parties to do the right thing.
As compared to previous years.
As compared to previous years.